Hi there, welcome to the setup stage. We're in the Phantom Flight School flight training. This is for beginners as well as anyone who wants to refamiliarize themselves with the safety steps as well as the setup. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to read the manual, and this is really important so you familiarize yourself with the terminology and you have an understanding of how the Phantom works. Then you might want to also have a look at your cards that you get for your local flying regulations. So for example, something that seems to be uniform across most countries is there's a distance rule between people, roads and buildings, and it varies. So in South Africa we have 50 meters where you have to keep a horizontal distance from people, roads or buildings. Make sure you never fly within 10 nautical miles of an airport. Make sure you don't fly above crowds and people and agitate people and upset them. Most people see a drone and they get upset. They think they're being spied on or it's a risk. These things can fall out the sky. It has happened. So just always remember safety. There's a great acronym that we learnt in our flight training, which is called I am safe. So let me take you through it. I is illness. Have you got an illness? Then you shouldn't be flying. M for medication. If you're on medication, you just got to be making sure it's not going to affect your flying. S, stress. If you're very stressed, don't fly. A, alcohol. Have you had alcohol in the last 24 hours or 8 hours actually? And if so, avoid flying. F, fatigued. Are you exhausted? Don't fly. And E, eaten. Have you eaten? If you haven't eaten, it might impair your ability. So just remember, I'm safe. So let's just have a look at the setup. We've got our Phantom 4 over here. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take off the plastic gimbal clamp, and you just simply unclip it at the bottom. There also is an additional plastic styrofoam clip on the back there, which I permanently left off, but the gimbal clamp is really useful for in transporting, and you want to take it off because when you start your Phantom, your gimbal is going to go into a startup sequence and start moving, and if it's clamped in place, you run the risk of burning out your motors, and the gimbal is the most expensive part on this thing to replace. So just always make sure that you remember to take this off first. Secondly, you're going to want to make sure that your battery is fully charged. So if you flew, say for example yesterday or the day before, and you flew it down to say 70%, it's not good enough because it's been discharging. So you need to get it to 100% at least within the last 24 hours on a full 100% charge. And then when you put your battery in, make sure that it clips nice and tight into place. The battery must go all the way in, and you press the top and bottom to clip it into place. Right, let's talk about getting the propellers onto the quadcopter. So you've got two kinds of propellers. The one's got a black circle and the other one is silver. And you can see 3 black dots where you must put the black one, and the other one goes into the silver. So what you do is you gently place it on top and you move the silver bit around until you feel it drop. That's great. And then you press down, and in the case of the silver, you turn the bottom section anti-clockwise until it clicks into place. And when you pull up, it's nice and tight. For the black one, again, go on top, move it down until it drops, press, and then turn the silver position clockwise in this case, and then it locks into place. And do that with all 4 propellers. Okay, excellent. Another thing you might want to look for is, have you got any cracks on your motor mounts? Have you had an accident where anything could happen? Because your motor has to remain absolutely steady in place. If you've got any cracks during flight with the vibrations, it could come loose and you could have an accident. And just have a general check and make sure that you're satisfied. Let's talk about the startup sequence. So you switch on your remote controller first, then you switch on your drone. When you're finished, you switch off your drone, and then your remote controller, you switch that off last. So to start your remote or your drone, it's a 2-step process. You press it down once, let go, and then press it down again and hold it till it makes that noise and all your lights come on. The next step is to switch on the drone. Same process, press once and release, and then press down and hold until you see all the lights come on. You'll then hear a noise, all the motors will be tested, and you'll see the gimbal will go into its start sequence. You just let it run, and at this stage what it's going to do, it's going to be warming up. And on the app you'll see warming up, and it will tell you when it's ready and safe to fly. Great, now that your remote controller is switched on and your Phantom is switched on, you're going to have to get your mobile app and your mobile device on. So what you need to do is you need to firstly make sure that you've got the latest version of the DJI Go app and the latest firmware, and you can refer to the DJI website about how to get the latest firmware. And then you take your USB cable and you plug it into your mobile device. I'm using an Android Galaxy Note, and you will choose the DJI Go app and it'll open it up. And the first thing that you'll see on the screen when it brings it up is called your aircraft status, and this will tell you whether you need the latest firmware or if there's any problems. And what you're going to do is you're going to calibrate your compass, and you're going to do this every time you fly in a new location. So calibrating the compass is quite important, and just remember to do it every time you fly in a new location. Just as habit and out of safety, I calibrate once every time I fly, not every subsequent time I fly on different batteries, but just at the beginning of each session. So let's take you through how to calibrate the compass. You simply tap on the screen where it says compass, it shows you details, and that'll bring up a page. You then scroll down and you click on calibrate compass. It'll then bring up an illustration and it'll show you how to do the compass dance. Let me take you through that. Right, we're now ready to calibrate the compass. We've tapped compass calibration and the back lights will turn to amber or yellow, steady. Another thing is make sure you calibrate your compass where you're not near concrete or metal, because that will throw errors. So what you do is you hold it in front of you, and the first step is you move it on the horizontal plane a full 360 anti-clockwise. And when you finish that 360, it should turn to green. So if you look there, it's now green. Then you put it on its nose and you do the same 360 in a anti-clockwise fashion. And when it's finished, it will start flashing. If it flashes red, you've got an error and you've got to find a new place and do it again. And if it flashed green, you're ready to go.